Hello, children. Welcome to Maths class. Today's topic is on matrices, determinants, vector algebra, and three-dimensional coordinate geometry. In the first video, we see the synopsis, and the next we shall proceed to the problems. To start with, the first matrices and determinants. So, as a basic of the matrices definition, the arrangement of numbers in the form of rows and columns within brackets is called the matrix. Arrangement of the numbers in form of rows and columns is called the matrix. And the types of the matrices, when all the elements of a matrix are zeros, that is called as null matrix or zero matrix. A matrix with one row is called a row matrix and one column is called the column matrix. And if the number of rows is not equal to number of rows, is not equal to number of columns, the matrix is called rectangular. And it is called a square matrix if the number of rows is equal to number of columns. As an example, this is a square matrix consisting of 3 rows and 3 columns. The elements here 2, 1, 0, that particular line is said to be called the principal diagonal or diagonal of the matrix. And the elements are said to be called diagonal elements 2, 1, 0. What is meant by diagonal matrix? The name itself says that one diagonally. Non-diagonal elements are always be 0, such in a square matrix. That square matrix is called the diagonal matrix. Square matrix in which all the elements except the diagonal elements are zeros. So this is an example. And in this diagonal matrix, suppose if all the diagonal elements are equal to a constant, then I say it is said to be called a scalar matrix. So scalar matrix is the diagonal matrix. And unit matrix means specifically if a scalar matrix, if the constant value is happened to be 1, and that is called identity matrix. Equality of the two matrices. Two matrices are said to be equal if they are of the same order and corresponding elements in the corresponding elements in A is equals to the corresponding elements in B. Then I say the two matrices are said to be equal. Coming to addition and subtraction of the elements of the two matrices. Suppose A, B are two matrices of the same order, then addition or subtraction of A, B is nothing but the adding or subtracting the elements of A with the corresponding elements of B. That is called A plus B or A minus B. Multiplication of the two matrices. First of all, the two matrices can be multiplied only when the number of columns in the first matrix is equal to number of rows of the second matrix. Then only they are conformable for multiplication. And if A matrix is of order m by n and B matrix is of order n by p, the product is again a matrix of order m by p, which is of order m by p, which is again a matrix of order m by p. And let's come to the transpose of the matrix. So, the transpose is nothing but a matrix obtained by interchanging rows and columns. Is called the transpose of the matrix, and its properties are given as A transpose, whole transpose is A, AB whole transpose is B transpose, A plus B whole transpose is A transpose plus B transpose, and the other one. Clear? Next, symmetric, skew symmetric matrices. If the transpose of the matrix is itself, if A transpose is A itself, the square matrix, then it is said to be symmetric one. A matrix is said to be symmetric if Aij is equals to Aj for all I, j. But a square matrix is called a skew symmetric if A transpose is equals to minus A. A transpose is minus A, it means Aij is equals to minus of Aj for all I, j. And of course, all the diagonal elements of the skew symmetric matrix are zeros compulsorily. All the elements and the diagonal elements of a skew symmetric matrix are zeros. Coming to the sign convention in case of the expansion of the determinant. And while writing the cofactors, you need to take up the sign convention as like this one. Coming to the properties of the determinant, you know that the determinant, okay, the determinant of A is the same as the determinant of A transpose. It means even if you interchange rows and columns of a matrix, the determinant doesn't change. The determinant value doesn't change. Right? Whereas the sign of the determinant changes when any two rows or any two columns are interchanged. When any two rows or any two columns are interchanged, then the sign of the determinant changes. And I say, when two rows or two columns are identically, then determinant is always 0. That means when two rows or two columns are identically equal, then the value of the determinant is equal 0. Next property. If all elements of a row or column is multiplied by a number, all the elements of a row or column multiplied by a number k, then the value of new determinant is k times the original determinant. When you multiply all the elements of a row or a column, then determinant of the new determinant value is k times the original determinant. Similarly, the next one, if every element of a row or a column is written as a sum of two numbers, is the sum of two numbers, every element of that, then such kind of the determinant can be expressed as a sum of the two determinants. Sum of the two determinants. Coming to the next one, a triangular determinant value is the product of diagonal elements. If all the elements below the diagonal or above the diagonal, okay, elements are except the diagonal elements are 0, then the value of the determinant is equals to multiple of all the leading diagonal elements. It means determinant of a triangular matrix, or it may be a diagonal matrix also, and definitely is the product of diagonal elements, is the multiple of leading diagonal elements. Remember that. Next one, if the determinant becomes 0 by substitution of x equals to alpha, then x minus alpha is a factor of the determinant. If the determinant becomes 0 by substituting x equals to alpha, then x minus alpha is a factor of the determinant. Coming to the next one, the addition, the value of the determinant is unaltered when any row is multiplied by a number or any expression and added or subtracted from any other row. That means addition of scalar multiples of elements of one particular row by adding the corresponding elements of another row does not alter the determinant value. Same thing even with the columns also. Coming to some of the important points which you need to remember. One is adjoint of adjoint A equals to det A to the power of n minus 2 into A. And adjoint of AB is equals to adjoint B into adjoint A. Adjoint of A transpose is equals to adjoint A whole transpose. There's one more property, determinant of adjoint A equals to det A to the power of n minus 1, where n indicates the order of the matrix. For a non-singular matrix, we know that A into A inverse is equals to 1. Det of A into A inverse is equals to 1. So det A multiplied by det A inverse 1. Therefore, det of A inverse equals to 1 by det A. Similarly, the determinant of a skew-symmetric matrix of odd order is 0. This is one of the property of the determinant. Skew-symmetric matrix of odd order is equal to 0. And there is one concept called a polynomial equation in matrices. When A matrix is given to you, a 2 by 2 matrix, it satisfies the condition that A square minus trace of A multiplied by A plus that A multiplied by unit matrix must be is equal to 0. Of course, that can be expressed in different fashion. Same thing you can also apply for the 3 by 3 also. But be careful about this one. A cube, it can be written as A cube minus the trace of A multiplied by A square plus sum of the cofactors of elements of the diagonal. That is nothing but A1 plus B capital B2 plus capital C3 multiplied by A minus determinant of A multiplied by I must be is equals to 0. This is actually the property. This is B2 and this is C3. So this is how we describe the polynomial of a matrix. I mean, a matrix A satisfies this polynomial equation. Let's consider, yes, of course, A1, A2, A3 are the cofactors of A1, B2, C3 which are in the diagonal. If A is any square matrix, then A plus A transpose is a symmetric, A minus A transpose is Q symmetric, and the sum of these two is nothing but A. That means if A is any square matrix, that can be expressed as a sum of symmetric and Q symmetric matrices. That's about a few points related with the matrices is concerned. And let me write down one more important point, one or two points related with the determinant. I say these are the useful determinants which may be useful in simplifying certain problems. 1a square, 1b b square, and 1c c square. The value of this determinant is nothing but a minus b, b minus c, c minus a. A minus b, b minus c, c minus a. At the same time, any determinant a, b, c, b, c, a, c, a, b. Consider the determinant cyclically, the elements in cyclically. A, B, C, B, C, A, C, A, B, and expand, you will be getting minus of A cube plus B cube plus C cube minus 3ABC. And after factorizing it, you get it as A plus B plus C multiply by A square plus B square plus C square minus AB minus BC minus A. So that can also be factorized as A plus B plus C multiply by A plus B omega plus C omega square into A plus B omega square plus C omega. Right? Okay, this is about one more point. There's one more determinant, like when you say A11, 1B1, 11C. Of course, it is 0 where A not equals to 1, B not equals to 1, C not equals to 1. In such a case, you got condition 1 by 1 minus A plus 1 by 1 minus B plus 1 by 1 minus C is equals to 1 always. Keep in mind this one. This will be useful in simplifying certain problems. Let's come to vector algebra and three-dimensional coordinate geometry. A physical quantity which has got both magnitude and direction is called a vector. Otherwise, a physical quantity which has got only magnitude is called a scalar. Suppose A is a matrix, A is a vector whose components are x, y, z. Magnitude of A is equals to root over x square plus y square plus z square. Next, section formula. The position vector of a point P which divides the line joining points A bar, B bar in the ratio m is to n internally. It's nothing but mb bar plus na bar divided by m plus n. And of course, suppose A comma B itself are collinear, then I say that one can be written as scalar multiple of the other one. Coming to scalar and vector scalar product or dot product. Suppose A and B are any two vectors, then A dot B equals to mod A mod B cos theta, where theta is angle between A comma B. Then the projection of A on B is given by the formula A dot B by modulus of B. This is a B vector and this is A vector. Drop the perpendicular. The length of this perpendicular is nothing but A dot B by modulus of B. Okay, the properties of the scalar product are given by A dot B equals to B dot A. A dot A is nothing but A square. And cos theta, A dot B is nothing but basic definition mod A mod B into cos of angle between them. But this formula can be written as A dot B by mod A mod B. Remember, modulus of A dot B will always be less than or equals to mod A multiplied by modulus B by this condition. Okay. And the same thing if we can apply formula A dot A is equals A square. Suppose I cap, J cap, K cap are unit orthonormal triad when you apply the dot product to them. And I say that I dot I is equals to 1, J dot J1, K dot K is equals to 1. K dot K is equals to 1. I dot J will be 0 because they are perpendicular. Similarly, therefore, dot product of one vector with the other vectors will always be 0 because I, J, K are mutually perpendicular to each other. Coming to the next property, if A comma B are in terms of components, of course, identities are given here. We know A dot B, when A comma B components wise are given to you, A dot B can be calculated as A1 B1 into A2 B2 multiplied by A3 B3. That is about A dot B. In the same lines, when you take up some identity, A plus B whole square means nothing but A plus B dot A plus B. A plus B dot product with A plus B. Clearly could see that A plus B dot A plus B means A dot product with A square, and B dot B, of course, that is a B square, and 2A dot B. In the same lines, A minus B whole square is nothing but A square plus B square minus 2A dot B. We could also have the formula A plus B plus C also whole square is equals to, it is A square plus B square plus C square plus 2 times A dot B, 2 times B dot C plus 2 times C dot A. Okay, right. And modulus of A plus B less than or equals to mod A plus mod B. And mod A plus B is equals to modulus of A plus modulus of B when A and B are like vectors. Otherwise, the inequality always be holds good. Modulus of A plus B less than or equals to modulus A plus modulus B. And the condition for two vectors to be perpendicular is that A dot B 0. Of course, A dot B 0 means modulus of A plus B is So A plus B is equals to modulus of A minus B. When you square on both sides, you will be getting A square plus B square plus 2A dot B. Right? That is equals to A square plus B square minus 2A dot B. Clearly 4 times A dot B is 0, therefore A dot B equals to 0. As A dot B equals to 0, both the vectors are perpendicular to each other. Correct. Coming to A plus B dot A minus B, just by distributive property, you'll be getting answer A plus B into A minus B is A square minus B square. Coming to the vector product, we know A cross B is defined as modulus A modulus into modulus of B sine of included angle multiplied by a unit vector perpendicular to the plane containing A comma B. This is A bar and this is B bar, and this is nothing but A cross B model. Of course, that magnitude of them, if it is 1, then I say that it is nothing but n cap. See, this is actually A cross B direction divided by modulus of A cross B. When you write down, you will be getting a number here. So, A cross B will always be perpendicular to the plane containing A comma B. Coming to the next one. Geometrically, what does A cross B represent? Remember that suppose A comma B are the adjacent sides of a parallelogram, then area of the parallelogram is given by the formula modulus of A cross B. Whereas in case of a triangle, if A comma B are the adjacent sides, then half of A cross B will be the area of the triangle. In case of a diagonal, suppose D1 and D2 are the diagonals, D1 comma D2 are the diagonals, then the area of the triangle is nothing but half of area of the parallelogram is half of D1 cross D2. And a few properties of the vector product, A cross B is equals to minus of B cross A. That means the vector product does not follow commutative law, and A cross A will always be 0. That means A is a parallel to A itself, and A cross B 0 means that when A and B are parallel vectors. And as you know that A cross B determinant, A cross B, the definition is mod A mod B sine of included angle modulus of unit vector is equals to modulus of A cross B. So therefore this is 1, therefore sine theta is equals to mod A cross B divided by modulus A modulus of B. Coming to, as I told you that one, the last slide, that A cross B by modulus A cross B, unit vector perpendicular to both A comma B. And that is a unit vector perpendicular to both A comma B. And m times of A cross B by modulus A cross B is nothing but actually, okay, it is a vector perpendicular to both A comma B having magnitude is equals to m. Let's consider next. Suppose if I, j, k are the unit vectors, orthonormal triad, they are mutually perpendicular to each other. I cross I will be 0, cross product to any vector to itself is 0, j cross j 0, k cross k 0. I cross j, if you take up the cross product of it, modulus I, modulus of j into sine of included angle between them 90 degrees multiplied by k vector, because k is a vector perpendicular to both I comma j, I and j. So I cross j, sine 91, this is 1 and this is 1, I cross j is equals to k. And of course, if you reverse the product, you will be getting a minus sign. In the same lines, you can also prove that when j cross k is equals to I and k cross I is equals to j. And change the sign if you reverse the product. That's what he is explaining it. And vector product follows the distributivity. A cross B plus C equals to A cross B plus A cross C. And how do you go with the calculation of the cross product of vectors? When A bar, B bar are given to you with the components A1, A2, A1, A2, A3, B1, B2, B3, then A cross B can be calculated by the determinant. A cross B is equals to the determinant is equals to I cap, J cap, K cap. First row element, second row elements are elements of A, A1, A2, A3. Second row are the elements of B, B1, B2, B3. And definitely this is not equals to 0. And therefore, not equals to 0 when they are not parallel to each other. When they are not parallel to each other. Coming to scalar triple product. When A comma B comma C are any three vectors, then the product A dot B cross C, A cross B dot C and A cross B dot C are defined to be scalar product of the vectors. They are called scalar product of the vectors, denoted by box ABC. We spell out like box ABC. And remember the point here, when any two vectors are identically equal, box product will be 0. Of course, box product is equals to 0 is a necessary condition for the three vectors to be collinear. Coplanar. A, B, C are coplanar. When they are coplanar, then I say the box product is equals to 0. Of course, there are some other identities which we have, some other results. G is the centroid of the triangle ABC. then I say GA plus GB plus GC value, the taken in that particular order, sum of these vectors is equals to 0. And if D, E, F are the midpoints of the sides of the triangle, then in that case AD plus BE plus CF. That means the sum of the medians is always be 0. Sum of the sides always be 0. Next, coming to the point, the set of direction cosines of a vector, I am taking a vector which is equally inclined to the coordinate axis are given by. First of all, what are the direction cosines? Suppose if a vector makes angle alpha with x-axis, beta with y-axis, gamma with z-axis, then I say cos alpha, cos beta, cos gamma are called the direction cosines of that particular vector. Okay, remember it. And you know the sum of squares of them, cos square alpha plus cos square beta plus cos square gamma is always is equals to 1. By using that property, you will be getting these two conditions. Coming to the next one, there are some results which are useful in time saving here. A plus B, B plus C, C plus A adding 2 times, you will be getting 2 times of ABC which is 0. IJK, JKI, JKIJ, the value is equal to 3. A minus B, B minus C, C minus A is equal to 0. A cross B, B cross C, C cross A box product is equals to ABC whole square. And coming to the next one, 3-dimensional coordinate geometry. The position vector of a point in space I is written as xi plus yj plus zk. Any point can in general be written as x comma y comma z, where ijk are the unit vectors along the coordinate axis. Next, 3-dimensional coordinate geometry. The first basic formula is the distance between the 2 points, and which is nothing but under root of sigma x2 minus x1 taken whole square. X under root of sigma x2 minus x1 whole square is same as x2 minus x1 whole square, y2 minus y1 whole square, z2 minus z1 whole square. Section formula same as the previous one, mx2 plus nx1 by m plus n. In 2-dimensional coordinate geometry, we will not be having a z coordinate, only just 2 coordinates. Same lines we follow. Similarly, the section formula for external division. Coming to the next midpoint formula, you know this is nothing but a p plus q by 2, and that is nothing but x1 plus x2 by 2 comma y1 plus y2 by 2 comma z1 plus z2 by 2. Coming to the next important concepts are nothing but the direction cosines and direction ratios. If a directed line passing through horizon makes angles alpha, beta, gamma, if a directed line segment makes an angle alpha, beta, gamma with the coordinate axis, then cos alpha, cos beta, cos gamma are called the direction cosines of the directed line segment. Directed line. And any 3 numbers which are proportional to these values of cos alpha, cos beta, cos gamma, any 3 numbers proportional to these numbers are called proportional direction ratios. Any 3 numbers which are proportional to the direction cosines are called direction ratios. Coming to LMN are the direction cosines of our directed line segment, then The numbers A, B, C which are proportional to these values, A is equals to L lambda, B equals to L lambda M, and C is equals to N lambda. And therefore I say that A, B, C are the scalar multiples of element, and these numbers are defined to be direction ratios. And these ABCs, if you want to express in terms of element, then I say L is equals to A divided by root of sigma A square, M is equals to B by root of sigma B square, sigma A square, and N equals to C by root of sigma A square. Coming to next important points to remember it. Coordinates of any point on x-axis will be of the form A00. Coordinates of any point on y-axis, would be of the form 0b0, and that of the point that are the points on the z plane in the form of 0c. Same way, the coordinates of any point on xy plane will be in the form of a comma b comma 0. On yz plane 0 comma b comma c, and zx plane a comma 0 comma c. Coming to the next concept, the of course with respect to image, when you take up the concepts with respect to the image point with respect to the coordinate planes, you'll be getting the corresponding images. The centroid of the triangle is nothing but a plus b plus c by 3. That is nothing but x1 plus x2 plus x3 by 3, y1 plus y2 plus y3 by 3, comma z1 plus z2 plus z3 by 3. And the same way, tetrahedron. Tetrahedron is nothing but actually the solid diagram or solid figure which is covered by the 4 triangles. That's called tetrahedron, whose centroid is nothing but a plus b plus c plus d by 4. And that is nothing but this one. And the next one, the locus, this one divides the line joining points. This is actually the plane, sir. And the plane divides the line joining the 2 points in the ratio. And if I take up this as a plane actually, so therefore a plane is dividing the line joining the 2 points. In what ratio it is dividing? If these points are known to you, is given by this formula. That can also be written as, if this is a point A, this is a point B, and if I name this one, then I say it is minus pi A divided by pi B. Easy to remember also. Coming to the next one, equation of a line in space. A straight line passing through the point A, x1 comma y1 comma z1, and parallel to a vector b bar whose components are a comma b comma c is given by r is equals to a plus lambda b, and in the Cartesian form x minus x1 by a, y minus y1 by b plus z minus z1 by c. Coming to the next equation 2, the line passing through 2 points or line joining the 2 points, a position vector a bar, b position vector b bar. Okay, equation to this line, if you take up any point P whose position vector r bar, then I say the locus of P is nothing but answer, which is equation to line joining 2 point formula, r minus a is equal to lambda times b minus a. R minus a, therefore equals to lambda times b minus a, because the vectors are ap, ab, okay, and bp are PA, PB are collinear and AB are collinear. Using that concept, we'll be getting this one. That is about the vector equation of a line joining 2 points. Cartesian form can also be written like this. Next, angle between the 2 lines. If A1, B1, C1, A2, B2, C2 are the direction ratios of a line, then I say that angle between them calculated by the formula cos theta is A dot B by modulus A modulus B, and that A dot B is equals to A1 A2 B1 B2 C1 C2 divided by root of sigma A1 square into root over sigma A2 square. Yes, of course, if the 2 lines are perpendicular, their dot product equals 0. Parallel, the direction ratios are proportional to each other. Next one, distance between the two skew lines. This is one skew line and this is another skew line. A skew lines means the distance between them will always be along the line which is perpendicular to both the given lines. That's called shortest distance. And this is the Cartesian product. In terms of the Cartesian system, the distance between the two skew lines. Coming to the next one, distance between the parallel lines. This is the line which is passing through A1 and parallel to B vector. And the second one is nothing but a line passing through A2 and parallel to the B vector. And the distance between them is nothing but D. D is equals to B cross A2 minus A1 divided by modulus of B. Of course, the next one, plane equation. Equation of the plane whose unit normal from origin to the plane is n kappa is given by r dot n is equals to d. When you take up any plane, this is the normal form of the plane from origin. When you drop the perpendicular in that direction, n cap is the unit normal and the total distance is equals to d. N cap is the unit normal. Then equation to the normal form is given by r dot n is equals to d, and in the Cartesian form can be written as Lx plus my plus nz is equals to d. Coming to the next one, equation of a plane passing through a given point with a position vector a bar and perpendicular to another vector. Perpendicular to another vector. So this is nothing but actually a plane passing through the point A, x1, y1, z1 and whose normal to this plane is nothing but n. And whose vector form is nothing but r minus a dot n 0, and in the Cartesian form it is written like this: a into x minus x1 plus b into y minus y1 plus c into z minus z1 is equals to 0. And equation of a plane passing through 3 points is given by the formula. A plane which is passing through 3 points, a bar, b bar and c bar. And the equation here, of course, this one, as all the points are coplanar, the locus of any point P on the plane is nothing but equation to the plane. Then in that case, PA, PB and PCR, PA, AP, AB, AC. So AP, AB and AC, their box product is equal to 0 because they are coplanar. AP bar is nothing but R minus A, AB cross AC. And that in the Cartesian form is written as like this. And the next, some of the important points which you require in three-dimensional coordinate geometry are nothing but equation of a plane in the intercept form is given by x by a plus y by b plus z by c is equals to 1. This is the plane intersecting x-axis at a, y-axis at b and z-axis at c. Then I say AB, small letters of ABC are nothing but the ABC are the intercepts made by the plane on x-axis, y-axis and z-axis. And equation of the plane through the intersection of the two planes is given by pi 1 plus lambda pi 2. So in the sense, equation of a plane passing through line of intersection of the two planes is nothing but this one, pi 1 plus lambda pi 2. Right? Coming to the next one. Condition for the two lines to be coplanar is that, when can you say two lines are coplanar? Two lines are lying on the same line or they do intersect at one point, such lines are said to be coplanar. And the condition is nothing but the scalar, distance between the two skew lines or these two lines is equals to 0. Then they are coplanar. That means shortest distance between the two skew lines is equal to 0. The two skew lines are no more skew lines, they lie on the same plane. and therefore the numerator of the scalar triple product, shortest distance formula is 0. So B1 cross B2 and divided by modulus of B1 cross B2, overall modulus. The numerator is equals to 0. And now let me take up angle between the two planes. R dot n1 equals to d1, R dot n2 is equals to d2 are the two planes. Then angle between the two planes is nothing but angle between their corresponding planes. Let me take up, this is one plane and this is another plane. Angle between the planes is nothing but angle between their corresponding normals. Angle between their corresponding normals. So angle between n1 comma n2. Cos theta is equals to n1 dot n2 by mod n1 mod n2 represents angle between the two planes. Distance of a point from the plane. If you consider the point P as x1 comma y1 comma z1 and this is the plane given to you, so perpendicular distance is given by the formula as like in the two-dimensional coordinate geometry, little extension z part will be there. An angle between line and a plane. Okay, suppose if you consider a plane whose normal is nothing but n bar, and a straight line or a line is passing through the point A and parallel to the vector B bar. And definitely you see that angle between the line and the plane is nothing but complement of angle between the normal to the plane and the line equation. And therefore I say that B dot n by mod B mod n is cos theta. No, it is a sin theta. It's a sin theta and therefore sin theta is equals to B dot n divided by mod B mod n. You can take it as directly sin theta, not necessary for other explanations. Coming to next, a few points as which are related. The length of the perpendicular from the point P, x1, y1, z1 onto the plane is given by, just now we had seen already the formula here. Angle between. Coming to the next one, distance between the two parallel planes. This is one plane, this is another plane, distance between them is given by d1 minus d2 by root over a square plus b square plus c square, same as the two-dimensional coordinate geometry type. And the image of the point in the plane. Suppose if you consider this point is a p, x1, y1, z1, image of the point with respect to the plane is given by m, and that m coordinates hkn are obtained by this identity, which is similar to finding the image of a point with respect to line, same kind of, right? And the equation of a plane which is bisecting the angle between the two planes is given by, normally as like a two-dimensional formula, there is x coordinate extra, L1 divided by root of a1 square plus b1 square and c1 square comes here. Same thing is equal to plus r minus r. That's about a few points related with the matrices, determinants, and vector algebra, three-dimensional coordinate geometry. There are many points there as a time-consuming process. Therefore, we have taken little points related with these topics. We continue in the next video with the problems. Thank you.